It's me again. I wasn't planning on doing another live stream today. However, I remembered that I had written a note down from a session that I had, a one-to-one Zoom session this morning with a family up the north. And we discussed some anxiety that was arising for a child. And I asked the mother, have you explained to your child the difference between a physical pain and an emotional pain? And the answer was no. Now, not an awful lot of adults know the difference between this either. However, it's extremely important that we establish the difference between emotional pain and physical pain. Because sometimes when we experience emotional pain and we haven't connected the dots, we're experiencing chest pain, we're experiencing upset tummy, we're experiencing headaches, we're experiencing shortness of breath. And, you know, way too often, in my opinion, there's tablets thrown at the situation to resolve the symptoms. But I want to know what's the cause of this. What is the cause of this as adults? But let me bring it back to the kids, okay? It can be applied to both. It doesn't matter what way you look at it, okay? Our kids are facing going back to school next week. In my experience, most kids don't like going to school. And both of my kids on separate occasions would have experienced anxiety around school. But I've taught my kids from the moment that they could understand the difference between an emotional pain and a physical pain. Now, we all know, for those of us who are privileged enough to be parents, that we'd have the pitter-patter of small feet or big feet in certain circumstances in the middle of the night. I don't feel well. My tummy hurts me. And then we have a big person beside us in the bed. Okay? Now listen, I'm not suggesting for a moment that we don't entertain our kids in the middle of the night when they're scared. But it's important for them to realise the difference between when they are scared and they're experiencing emotional pain, which is presenting itself as a physical pain. Okay? I can hear Charlie coming in the door now, trying to be quiet when I just told her I'm on a live stream. The dog barks a lot, so I try and get her to take the dog away. But it's extremely important. Actually, Charlie, can you illustrate this for me? Can you illustrate this for me in the moment? Come here for a second. Come here for a minute. I'm going to ask you a question. I'm on a live stream. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Can I ask you, do you know the difference between a physical pain and an emotional pain?
Yeah.
Okay. So when you're having physical pain, describe that to me.
Like, let's say I fell off my bike
Okay.
and I had like a bruise or a cut on my knee.
So that's a physical pain. Okay. So when you have an emotional pain, how does that show up for you?
My heart hurts and so does my chest.
Okay. Anything else?
I just cry.
Okay. So you might get emotional too. Okay, but say in the middle of the night.
I'm really tired.
That's okay, Pat. So say in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
You might come into our room.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes. Physically, how do you feel in the middle of the night if you are upset?
Physically? No. Physically, nothing.
Okay, emotionally?
Same thing that you said there, my heart and my chest hurt and feel emotional.
Okay. And do you know what it is that you feel emotional about, love?
Just being scared.
Scared. And what would you be scared of, chicken?
Kidnappers.
Kidnappers?
Yeah.
You've a terrible fear of the kidnappers, don't you, Pat?
Yeah.
And never getting kidnapped. Can you imagine?
Mm.
The kidnappers would be afraid of their life in each. Are you kidding me? It's not happening. It's just not happening. So I just wanted to sow the seed that there's going to be kids. How do you feel about going back to school, by the way? Oh, sorry about this, guys. See, this is what happens. The dog is in emotional pain right now because somebody is on his land. And that's how his fear manifests itself through the barking. So, Char, how do you feel about going back to school next week?
I actually tried on my school uniform to school and school.
Yeah. You're excited! Yay! That's fantastic.
We changed teachers.
Okay. So listen, you know when you're in the school year and you might not want to go to school? Yeah? What does be going on for you then, pal?
Just not wanting to be there, not understanding a lot of work.
Okay. Not understanding a lot of work. Yeah?
Not liking going out with the teacher for the next class when we're doing PE.
Okay.
I always decide to come in when I'm doing that.
Oh no!
And then I'm like, they're like, are you doing really?
So, Char, we're going to make sure that that's not going to happen next year, okay?
Yeah, because they're like, are you doing anything in class? I'm like, yeah, PE. And they're like, you can do it next week. I'm like, come to the same time next week. Well, okay.
Okay. Jingleberry said, Charlie is adorable. Orla Kelly says, God love her. Caroline O'Donovan says, the dog is not going back to school anyway. No, he's a brat. So, guys, the intention behind this is to sow the seed about teaching your kids the difference between a physical pain and emotional pain. It is not cool that when we see our kids struggling and presenting anger or upset, that we try and fix an emotional pain another way, with spoiling them or a tablet or sweets, because all we're doing is reinforcing the titanium plate issue, which is filling our emotional holes from the outside in, not the inside out. Okay? Leaving kids on their own to fester, not a good idea. We need to be taking action, people, and we need to be explaining to the kids in plain language what it is that's going on for them in the inside so they can understand. When they can understand, they can, when you understand stuff, Char, when I explain that to you, do you feel like you're more in control?
Sorry, I didn't hear that because it's up there.
So when I explain stuff that's going on in the inside of you, do you feel like you're more in control when you have more information so you can understand? So can you remember, you're very, very small now, but do you remember when I explained to you the difference between a physical pain and emotional pain? Probably not. No. Okay. Well, that's actually good because it was that long ago. Well, you were too teeny tiny. But listen, if you could say something to all the kids going back to school next week that are anxious, what would you say to them?
Don't really know.
Try and think of something that would be, because you know that in our house when you say I don't know, it's followed with and I'm going to. Good girl. Okay. So you do know. You do know the answer to this. What could you say to them to give them a little bit of inspiration? Since everybody was so impressed with you about your talk on Wednesday night. Rusty Char, we're live.
Don't know.
Do you want to think of something?
I'm trying to think.
We'll come back later though. We'll put a post in underneath maybe.
Oh yeah.
Okay. How does that sound? Knackered you are. Knackered. Right, so I'm off. I hope that was useful. Take it easy. Oberslant, Char.